Hello, I'm Lloyd, and we're back with the Dressing Gown Diary. It is all about to kick off in New Zealand. It starts, as we know, Saturday morning. Now let's just run off some quick stats. How excited do you think I am? Oh, I'm about to explode. But let's just look at some history here. The Lions, since they last won in New Zealand in '71, they have now played 38 test matches. Do you know how many they've won? They've won 16. They've lost 22. This gives you a measure of how difficult it is to combine four great unions. Is it made more complex by playing in New Zealand? Of course it is. New Zealand, they last lost 12th of September 2009 against South Africa. That was the last time they lost on home soil. They're also playing 2 games in Auckland. Does anyone know when they last lost there? They last lost there in '94. The 3rd of July, '94 against France. So this is a measure of how difficult, really, this challenge is for the Lions visiting New Zealand. Not only have they got to bring together a team and create an atmosphere and a team which has always been historically quite difficult. You look at the last tour in 2001, Graham Henry didn't get it right. He made clear who his test team was early on, ostracised half the team. But New Zealand are a phenomenal team. They have progressed since the World Cup when they lost 5 of their jewel in the crowns, the big players. But they seem to have come together and progressed as a team. The only slight hiccup, clearly, the loss in Chicago, which people have been focusing on, and so they should, because it's the Irish team, really took them apart. It gave them no time in defence and made them tackle. So I've had a couple of questions thrown at me. One come from Greg Dick. He's asked, given the limited time of preparation with this tour, do you think it would be wise to go with established pairings such as Itoje and Cruz in 4 and 5, and Murray and Sexton at 9 and 10, and perhaps the Welsh back row? Well, that clearly is an option, and this is where it's a question that Ross Jackson's asked me as well. Do the warm-up games mean anything? Well, of course they do. You've got to pick players that are on form. You've got to pick players that have gelled together. And at the moment, it's an unknown quantity. And this is one of the greatest challenges of a Lions tour. International rugby coaches have so much time to bring the players together. They develop them over a 2 or 3 year period, hone down the way they want to play. At the moment, does Warren Gatland know how he wants to play? Now, it's a big question, because the way he's picked the squad, I do like the balance of it. In the backs, he's got some gas, he's got some skill. You look at kind of Anthony Watson, you look at Jack Noel, you look at Tommy Seymour, you look at Liam Williams, you look at Stuart Hogg. You've got guys that can play rugby. But will Warren Gatland play the structure that allows the team to exploit and expose the opposition by utilising the pace, gas and ability that we've got in the back three? I'm not really sure. But certainly in the front 5, he's tried to pick big guys, there's strong guys. You know, there's big talk about how Itoje is the greatest star ever. Well, this is an opportunity for him to really stand up. Clearly, there's pressure in most positions. For me, this is the strongest Lions squad that has ever toured. Normally, you're looking at a Lions squad, even the one that Graham Henry picked with 50 players, and you could pretty much nail down your 20, maybe even down to your 15. Whereas this, there's competition in every place. There are so many opportunities for players in the early games. Certainly the team that he's picked here for the first game, not too many surprises really. Get players on the pitch, get them used to wearing the jersey, carrying the pressure that jersey brings. This game, you know, these tours come once every 4 years, so this is an opportunity for players to write history for themselves. They take that jersey, people have worn it before them and will wear it after them. So they have an opportunity to write their own name in history. Can they step up when they have to? Can they dig deep? Can they find a way of playing with players they haven't played with before? Can the coaching team find a structure that suits the players they have at the time in form? Well, all this will become clear over the next few weeks as the warm-up matches take place and you find out who is playing well, who's working well together, what pairings are linked up. It's also interesting that Gatland pushed hard to get Joseph on tour. And initially they were hoping for a squad of only 37, but actually they've extended it to 41, and Joseph was one of the last ones at a cost of, I understand, £600,000, so a significant cost. But the Lions are on tour. This is one of the greatest events in rugby, if not sport. There aren't any opportunities to tour like this. Even the Southern Hemisphere teams who come over for the autumn internationals, it's limited to maybe 4 or 5 games. Gone are the days where New Zealand lose to Newport 3-0, having toured for 25 games. It's a sad day that that happened. We're into a professional era, and now we're talking about squeezing these tours down to 8 games. I mean, they're already struggling to get unity between the squad and abilities to play. How is reducing the number of games played going to help? But that's a debate for another time. This is all about the excitement of what starts at 8:35 on Saturday morning. It's going to be brilliant as we warm up. So what I'm going to try and do for the Dressing Gown Diaries, whether we get a review show each week, I don't know. It depends how time goes. But certainly I'll be trying to get something out Thursday evening, reviewing what's happened and looking forward to the games coming forward. And maybe a chat about who's playing well and who's playing themselves into the test team. Because for me, there are a couple of players that I think were a bit unlucky not to take selection. Certainly Joe Launchbury, but it's a very competitive situation, the second row. With Itoje, Cruz, Alwyn Jones, Henderson. There are some big players there. I also think Scott Williams was a bit unlucky. I like the way he attacks the line. He's got a solid, strong pass. No, the talk about whether Farrell is a 10 or a 12. I would have thought, for me, I'd like to see him play at 12. I mean, my lineup, let's go through the starting lineup at the moment. I'd have the Irish props, Furlong. I'll have Ken Owens at hooker. The second rows, I'd have Itoje and Alwyn Jones. I'd have CJ Stander at 6, Warburton at 7, Faletau at 8. I'd have... it's a toss-up for me between Murray and Rhys Webb, but I'd probably go Murray, Sexton, Farrell, Jonathan Davis at 13. I'd have George North, and I would have Anthony Watson, and at fullback I'd have Stuart Hogg. Now, you might lack some real power in that back three, but what you have got is pace. So if you play the way, an expansive way, we've really got opportunities. Look, for me, this is one of the most exciting parts of the year. I can remember all the Lions tours. I spent the last week now watching the Living with the Lions, or whatever they're now called, on the various tours. It's there's so much to engage yourself into. So I really hope all the DGD fans out there really can get involved. If you've got any questions, let me know. Don't forget to follow me at Gown-Diaries, and we'll catch you soon. Over and out. Enjoy the weekend's rugby.